You're listening to Dene Michael here on True Radio, the home of proper good music and proper good interviews. And tonight we're very, very fortunate to have worldwide record producer, and that's Stuart Epps. Hi, Stuart.
Howdy. How are you doing?
Hey, it's great to have you on the program.
Good to be here.
Yes, great. Fantastic career you've had through your life, and wonderful people that you've met. Can you tell all our listeners how you first started up back in the, probably, was it the 70s, 60s, 70s?
Well, I was singing in bands from the age of about 8 or 9 and always interested in being in, singing and recording when I was a kid. But it probably really started when I was 15, when I went to work for music publisher Dick James in New Oxford Street. That was in 1967. And a friend of mine, Clive Franks, who became Elton's sound man, we were great friends. He already was working there as the office boy, and he was being promoted, so there was a space there. And I thought I was going to stay at school for years longer than that, but I was getting pretty fed up with it anyway. So went for the job, got the job, and this just started this amazing career, as you say, that I have had, starting at 15, office boy. Then you went from disc cutter to engineer, but it wasn't just any music publishers. It was the Beatles music publisher. They had a chap signed there for songwriting called Reginald Kenneth Dwight, who changed his name to Elton John. We became great friends. I worked on his career, and then the story starts. I toured with him when I was 18. I'd never been to America and was his personal assistant on a 3-month tour. And the story goes on, but I don't think we've got long enough. So you'll have to ask me another question.
Well, what a wonderful good start to your career, actually.
That's absolutely start,
brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Elton John, you worked with Liam Gallagher as well.
Well, you've just jumped 50 years there. What happened in between?
Well, in between as well, you as they say, you went to America with Elton. You did quite a few tours with Elton, did you, across the time?
Well, I did about 2 or 3 tours. Then we started Rocket Records, and then we signed Kiki Dee, who you mentioned earlier. You're talking from her hometown of Bradford.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And actually that was the last tour I did with Elton. Kiki was supporting Elton on a huge 3-month tour of America, and I was now co-managing Kiki Dee with Elton's manager. And working at Rocket Records, we signed a band I was telling you called Long Dancer, who went on to be a famous artist called Dave Stewart. But finally, really, I was working at Rocket, was quite happy there. But then Gus Dudgeon was telling me he was starting the studio in Cookham. And I was getting a bit fed up. In fact, I thought I was going to retire, really, because I was getting on a bit. I was now 23.
Oh.
So I thought, and I'd seen everything, done everything, really. So, but I came to see the studio where he was going to build the studio in Cookham and fell in love with it. And I've been in Cookham pretty much ever since. The studio he built was called The Mill. And that's where Chris Rea came as a young chap. And Voyager, and we did lots of albums there. That was 5 years. And then actually he had to sell it. But then one band that you missed out prior to Liam was Led Zeppelin, who were quite well known.
Oh, yeah.
And I worked for them. I worked for Jimmy. Jimmy Page bought the studio, and I became his engineer. And I worked on the last Zeppelin album. Then I started working with heavy rock bands, Twisted Sister. People who were friends of Jimmy's came to the studio. Bill Wyman, I worked on his stuff for 20 years, and Mick Fleetwood, and all sorts of people, really.
Wow, what a career!
It's
Stuart.
Well, I suppose. Yes, go on.
I was going to say, did you work on? We're going back to Kiki Dee and Elton John. Did you do the single "Don't Go Breaking My Heart"?
Well, that was actually when I was with Gus at the Mill. I'm pretty sure. Do you know what year that might have been?
It had been 70s, 76, something like that.
Yeah, so that was when, because, we were building the Mill, took 2 years, but then Gus was still producing Elton, although he stopped producing him soon after. So, because Don't Go Breaking My Heart, of course, that was a huge hit. They didn't actually do that together. I don't know if people know that, but Elton had this song, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. And at some point, it might have even been Gus, suggested that it might make a good duet. And of course, he was right.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, what we're going to do, Stuart, we're going to play a few songs here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about John Lennon and Wheeler End Studios as well. So, yeah, thanks ever so much, Stuart, for being with us here tonight on True Radio.
See you later.